Good afternoon, all. CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Wednesday afternoon, January 31st. We're looking at Window Trader's market profile of the ES and NQ. We have a lot to talk about. A lot happened today. Bunch of changes occurring in the market. Even before the Fed, both ES and NQ gapped lower. We held that gap. Righty never gapped lower. ES is now officially down on the daily. They're in balance on the weekly. ES is balanced on the daily, and in ES, the weekly took out last week's low to come into balance. SPY did not. Let's go over some of these things, what happened, and then we'll go over a lot happened. So look at Righty. Righty goes out with an 11 wide point of control, a trend day down, a price probe and a price spike, excess at when they excess ends one auction and begins another. Now you don't know when excess is happening. It's tough to determine at times. This, my friends, is short-term excess. They tried to come out of a daily balance towards the upside, failed. They barely, I don't think they took out yesterday's high and rolled over, and look what they did. What they also did, I'm pretty sure, is they filled their weekly gap. I'll check on IWM, but it looks like they filled their weekly, they definitely did. So they filled their weekly gap. So Righty comes out of a daily balance to the downside and fills their weekly gap. NQ comes out of balance. Here was their balance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7-day balance to the downside. So there's 7 days worth of longs on the water, and the weekly is now in balance. They hold their gap. ES holds their gap. Okay? Comes into balance on the daily. Now, today's low will be the balance low, which means if we take out today's low tomorrow, the daily is automatically down. Okay? So it's going to be very important tomorrow to see how today's low holds up. Right? If it holds up, remember, we were one time framing up for 9 days. This put us, wiped out 9 days worth of longs. Wiped out 9 days worth of longs in one day. Okay? Now, if we take out today's low tomorrow, the daily will be down. If we can't, it's still balanced. And I'll show you on the charts later also how ES is in balance on the weekly. Well, they took out last week's low, but SPY didn't. Volume is going to be the heaviest of the year. Okay? It's at over 120 million already. Our heaviest volume was the first trading day of the year. 123 million was our first day of the year, was the heaviest. We're at over 124 million already. So we're already at the highest volume of the year. The range was $6.19, so it's the second biggest range. We hold a trend day down, finally. It's 1 out of 13. It was the third attempt today. We tried single prints in B filled. We tried in C filled. And then finally L holds. So 1 out of 13 trend days down hold, and the gap holds, so 2 out of 6 downside gaps have held. We did not get both sides of the IB, but boy oh boy did we get close in K period. When NQ spiked higher and Righty spiked higher, we never took out the IB high and got the 18 wide POC. We have an 18 wide, that's wrong there, I'm in bigger increments. We never got the POC. Now, on a positive note, didn't matter how much we were going to push down. POC got lowered as low as it can, and that was it. And we were 9 wide. So we'll see at some point if we revisit that. I had an excellent morning, the majority of it in NQ, and I did nothing after H period. I tell you, I generally don't. There were 2 trades I would have thought of taking after H with the Fed. The first one, and I didn't, was when NQ got the overnight high, the 10 wide POC, and got 10 points within that price spike that they absolutely just didn't even stop at with the gap down this morning, that would have been a good risk reward short. Now, I'm not saying it now because we're down here. This is spoken in the room at all times. I told people there's no way I want to trade this kind of stuff, what's going on initially. However, when it got up there, I said that's a decent risk reward short just for a quickie to see if it holds. If it doesn't, then they're going to go fill the gap. Well, obviously it held. The other one was an M period in ES. I said I think we're going to go get the weekly low. So I certainly could have taken a short somewhere around 88. I could have used a single print fill as my out, which is a lot of heat. But it did go and get it. But I don't mind I didn't take those. We still saw those two trades nicely, and I really nailed them this morning. So in NQ, I was short A, B, D. Every push low I was shorting. I didn't short C, but I did short it even in D when they took out C's high and did well. Then in E period, I took a long in ES because after failing to hold single prints in B and C, I thought to fade it because I didn't think they were going to go trend again prior to the Fed, and it worked. Then in H period, I took a short in NQ and in ES, both of them, because I thought in H period against the sell tails there would be good risk reward shorts, and I did well on both of them. Didn't hold them and totally capitalize on it, but I did well. And then again, that was it. And then it was time for the Fed, and that was it. As far as our destinations go, we have a lot to the upside right now. First and foremost, we have our price spike, L's low of 483.68. Then we have our single prints, 484.70 to 485.63. So they're rather large, just under $1. Then we're 9 wide at 487.06. And then we have today's high at 489.08 and filling the gap at 490.11. So it's still $1. For the downside, we have 482.89. I'm not giving you all the downside ones because that's why I ask you to write them down and carry them forward. For ES, downside is 68.25. And the upside is the price probe at 75.75. Single prints, 87.75 to 95.50. 9 wide at 09.75. 18 wide, well, first the day's high, 30.50, and then filling the gap at 41.50. And in between that is the 18 wide POC overnight at 31. Now, let's look at these charts for a minute and go over a couple of them. I'll go over NQ also. So here's SPY. SPY did not take out last week's low yet. We still have 2 days. Okay, they missed it by 11 cents. But ES did. So what does that mean? Well, ES is officially back in balance. It also means in these next 2 days, if the market doesn't rally and actually pulls in more, they can have an outside week down after hitting an all-time high. That would be kind of interesting. Okay? If they did something like that. Remember when we made our all-time high back in January of 2022, right? We made the high. We took out that previous month's high for the all-time high. Did we close? Let me just see something. 449.91. Oh yeah, we had an outside month down after the all-time high. That was a little bit of a nuance that there was trouble brewing in the market. And then you saw what happened. Now, that's not the monthly that could happen on. Not this, right? The monthly is up. As you can see, the monthly is healthy. One thing, it's a big difference from this, how this all-time high closed on the monthly as opposed to this one. However, on the intermediate time frame, there's a possibility if the market doesn't rally, and we have a lot more out. We're going to digest what came out with the Fed tonight for tomorrow. You have the big tech earnings tomorrow night, and you have non-farm payroll Friday morning. So if this market decides to pull back some more, we could have an outside week down, okay? after hitting the all-time high. We could also have an outside week up in ES. Last week's high is 489.12. So everything will be on the table right now for ES. SPY did not take it out yet. So the monthly's up, the weekly's balanced in ES, and the daily is balanced. Markets don't go bull bear. So we one time framed up 9 days. Today, just put us into balance. So I'm going to make this an 8-day balance. For ES, it will be today's low because they took out this daily low. SPY did not. So for SPY, their balance low is January 22nd. For ES, it's today's low. And the gap is our main focus. And we closed over $3.50 above the 20 for now. Now, if we take out today's low tomorrow, automatically down. Triple Qs. Monthly is still very healthy. The weekly is balanced. How big is the balance? We don't know yet. We just started forming it. So we have 2 days to go. So if we push down it a lot more, then I would make it probably 3. If we rally from here, then I'll probably just make it a 2-week balance. So we won't know till Friday's close. And the daily is down. Came out of a 7-day balance to the downside. We have 2 gaps as targets if the market continues to pull back. So a lot has changed from just the last couple of days. Is this the end for the bull market? Of course not. Of course not. We talked about this earlier. The weekly, one time frame that 9 weeks came into balance and shot up again. So I have no problem if the weekly comes back to balance. The key is how we come out of balance on the weekly. If it's to the downside, then our highs could be in for a while. If it's back to the upside, there's all new all-time highs again. So, and don't forget, both NQ and ES's yearly low is in the overnight. So if overnight yearly highs and all-time highs don't hold generally, they'll need to do overnight yearly lows. Hope you had a great day trading and stayed out of trouble. It was a great educating afternoon, I'm telling you. Thank you for liking and subscribing to this channel. Enjoy your evening, and we'll speak prior to the opening tomorrow.